Alright guys, how you doing? Steven Servo here. So in today's video, it's going to be a bit different than most of my videos where I am, well, being recorded with video. I'm in the process of moving and I just don't have that liberty. I'm actually sitting up here at my kitchen counter with a microphone and screen sharing with you guys. And so today's video, I am going to show you guys how to create a little server, a little home server, or at least put a Raspberry Pi into a network and reach it externally from wherever you want remotely. So most of you are running that would be putting a Raspberry Pi in your home network, are going to be putting it in a local area network, and you're going to have one public IP that's probably dynamic, meaning it's not a static IP that's always assigned to you. And so you have to do a little bit extra to get these devices reachable from the outside. Then while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make an SSH tunnel. And you might have heard of that. A lot of people call it the poor man's VPN. And so those are going to be the things that I show you today. And so we're going to start with downloading Rasbian. We're downloading Rasbian Buster. And we are going to, when you get to the download page, it's www.raspberrypi.org/software/operating-systems/. But it would probably be easier if you Google Rasbian Buster image or something to that regard, and it'll bring you right to this page. All right, so we're going to go ahead and download this. So I'm going to assume a few things. I'm going to assume you guys are downloading this on a Raspberry Pi or for a Raspberry Pi. If you're not, you can skip forward to the from the part where I'm showing you how to install on a Raspberry Pi, and then instead you could just follow the rest of the series where I show you how to make your Raspberry Pi reachable when you have a dynamic public IP address. So we're going to go ahead and open that. All right. So the next thing I want you guys to do is download Balena Etcher. You can go ahead and just Google Balena Etcher and go into balena.io. And go ahead and just download. For Windows, or it has images for Linux and Mac OS as well. All right, so go ahead and download that. All right, so now that we got that downloaded, you're going to go ahead and either insert your SD card, or in my case, I'm actually going to boot right up off of a USB drive. In my case, I have a Raspberry Pi 3, and I believe the default boot is an SD card. But if you would like to boot off of a USB, you just put a USB in, and after it cycles and tries to find the SD card, it will then cycle through each of the USB bays. And if a boot is present on USB, it will go ahead and yeah, it'll boot from one of those USBs. And so we're going to go ahead and select flash from file. This is from the 16th. 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 16th And so give me a moment here. All right, sorry about that. I had already done I've already done this ahead of time, and so I was a little confused on which file that I was actually going to be writing the image to the USB. So anyway, go ahead and when you get in here, you're gonna go ahead and find the image that you downloaded, and make sure it's on the device that you want the operating system imaged to, and then go ahead and press flash. And I'll go ahead and see you guys back when this is done. Okay, so now that you have that image flashed on either your SD card or USB drive, go ahead and I want you to on-mount either or, whichever you have. And then I want you to go ahead and remount it. We're going to do one more thing so that we can just connect to this via SSH, and we don't have to connect to it via the interface on the device. We're going to connect to it remotely, is what I'm trying to say. So go ahead and open the boot drive after you plug it back in. All right, so down in here, I want you to go ahead and add a document. Now, you see I came over here to view, and that's because I want you guys to check this box right here, file name extensions. Go ahead and check that. So then just over here, anywhere, we're going to go ahead and go to new. We're going to go ahead and go to new text document. And in this text document, we're going to go ahead and rename it. And we're just going to rename it SSH. And then I want you to go over and delete the .txt. Go ahead and click off of that. It's going to ask you if you want to change this file extension. Just go ahead and click yes. Now you see it's going to change to file. That's exactly what you want. Okay, now from here, you're going to go ahead and go plug that into your Raspberry Pi, and I will catch you guys back here. Okay, now that you got that plugged in and booted up, we're going to go ahead and access our router for the first time, and we're going to find our IP address. Now, the router you guys are using is probably not going to be the same router as I'm going to be using. But in fact, it will probably be a lot easier environment to find what you're looking for. But really, you're just looking on your specific router, something regarding either DHCP leases or the DHCP server. In my case, I'm using MikroTik, and that is a very, it's got a very raw interface to it. So I'll show you guys how it's done on mine. So I'm just going to go down to IP. I'm going to go down to DHCP server, and I'm going to look at the latest lease, which is a Raspberry Pi, and there is the IP address for us. So now that we know that it's there, I'm going to go ahead and go to the ARP table. And I am going to go ahead and make this static. I'm going to go ahead and copy that too while I'm here. And we'll go ahead and just minimize that. I'm going to go over to my Ubuntu instance. And we're going to go ahead and type in. Now you could do this with SSH, just using another Linux box, or you can use Putty, which we're going to get to. but it's just easier for me to go from here. So. And it's going to go ahead and say that the authenticity of the hosts cannot be established. But we're going to go ahead and type yes. That doesn't really matter at this point. And we're going to go ahead and just put in the password. Now the default password is just Raspberry. All right, so we're in the box. Okay, so at this point we know that SSH is working. We're able to get into our Raspberry box, and at this point you can change the password. There's password information up here, and just kind of make it your own. For now, you can also type in the Raspbian config to go ahead and configure any which way you like. But really the next step, now that we know that this is working, is we're going to go ahead and go to noip.com. And you're going to go ahead and just follow the steps to create an account and create a host name. So it's going to want an email, password, the host name you want. And there's pro versions, but you're just going to go ahead and sign up for the free one for now. And after you have your account, we'll go ahead and get it set up on the Raspberry Pi. All right. So now that we have completed the registration for NoIP, we're going to go ahead and apply it to this system. And so I'm going to go ahead and start out by typing sudo su. That makes me the super user for this device. And so from here, we're going to go ahead and change directory. We're going to go to user. I'm sorry. We're going to go to user. Local, and I believe source. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm actually going to reference the community directory that I already have pulled up here. I'm going to leave that link down in the description just to get this right here. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to go ahead and run it. And just for ease, I'm actually just going to go ahead and copy this one too. Oops, I'm sorry guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and run that. And we're going to come over here, go ahead and copy this. All right, now from here, we're going to type and it's going to go ahead and run that for us. And go ahead and type in your login information and password. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create the default config file. You're going to type in user local bin noip -C. That's going to create the default config file. Again, I'm going to go ahead and post the community link with all of this information in it. And go ahead and type in your username and password one more time. All right, so once you've done that, we'll go ahead and move forward. So I didn't share my screen for that portion
of username and password. But after you go ahead and put in your username and password, it's going to ask you intervals. Is what that means is the interval of how many times you want the DNS records to update. And at the very end, it's going to ask you if you want to run something else with that. And that's getting into scripting. So for now, go ahead and Shift N, which is capital N. If you guys don't remember, in Linux, capital and non-capitals are two different values. So after that, all we're gonna do is we are going to, let's upshift here, and we'll go ahead. If you just press the up arrow a couple times, it's gonna bring you right back to here, and go ahead and just delete that capital C, and that's gonna go ahead and now the process is running for us. So there's a few other things we have to do. And so we're going to re-access our router at this point. All right, let's get out of all of this. We've already set the IP address as static on the LAN side on our private network. And so at this point, we are going to go to IP, at least on my device. Now, again, yours is going to be a little different, but probably a little bit easier. So in my case, I'm going to go to firewall, and I'm going to go to network address translation. On yours, you're probably just going to go to port forwarding. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and press the plus, and we're going to create a new chain, a new NAT rule. And so it's going to be a destination NAT. So the way you can view this is if I'm saying destination NAT, that means if you view yourself as a packet coming from outside the network, coming into my network. So that means we want to change the destination. Actually, we want to leave the destination address open, meaning just less variables, because your IP is going to be consistently changing. If you have just consumer internet, you probably don't have a static IP address assigned. So in this case, I'm going to go to TCP, and I want the destination port to be, let's do 2223. And we're going to go ahead and so that means any traffic that comes in to port 2223, I want to now go to actions. I want to send that traffic to the destination address 192.168.23.207. And I want to send that to port 22 because that's SSH. So we want to send it to 22. We can start playing around with that later on in the series. But for now, let's go ahead and apply that. All right. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. You can now reach your Raspberry Pi from an external network. Now we're going to go ahead and create an SSH on public Wi-Fi where you want to be able to securely connect. You can use this method. So we're going to start off. You're going to place your host name right in here. Remember that you changed that the port in your port forwarding settings, so we need to go ahead and reflect that. So next, I'll go ahead and fill this part in later. So next, you're going to go ahead and go down to data. We want to auto log in with the username Pi. And then I want you to go down to tunnels. So from tunnels, I want you to, under destination, I want you to set that from local to dynamic and the rest as is auto. And I want you to go ahead and make the source port 8080 and go ahead and add that. Now, if we go back up to the top, go back up to sessions, you're going to go ahead and type the host name that you were provided with by no IP to go ahead and connect to your box. And I will see you back. All right, guys. So if you've followed up to this point and you've done everything correctly, you should get a Putty security alert. And what this is saying is that the host key is not registered or signed by a third party. That's okay. It's self-signed at this point. It's known and trusted by you, so you're the one that created it. So you can go ahead and press yes here, and that should go ahead and get you connected. And go ahead and enter your password. And so now we're connected here. So I've already connected to a separate hotspot for testing, but so once you're connected here, so what I want you to do is open Mozilla Firefox if you have it. If not, you can find the same extension on Google Chrome. Let's go ahead and exit out of that. And I want you to download an extension called Foxy Proxy. And so let's just go down to, we're going to go down to add-ons. And go ahead and just type Foxy Proxy right here. Either or, I would just get Foxy Proxy Standard. I already have it installed, so go ahead and just install that. Once you install that, go ahead and open it. Right now, it's default shut off. You're going to go ahead and just go into options. I already have a local host set up. So let's just go into edit and I'll show you what to do. Entitled description, to make it easy for me to read, I just typed 8080. You can just use SOCKS 5 as the proxy protocol. The proxy IP name or DNS name is just localhost, and you're going to do that on port 8080. You can leave username and password wide open, and let's go ahead and just save that. Now, if you go ahead and enable that, now you're working with the proxy. And let's just go down to YouTube. And it is downloading very slow because I'm on my hotspot just to show you that it worked. And so, yeah, there's a poor man's VPN for you. It's a little SSH tunnel that can keep you secure while you're out in public on a Wi-Fi connection at Starbucks. And you don't want people to see the information you're sending back and forth because you want to keep, any purchases secure or really anything. If you're signed in, a good hacker can steal it all, especially if you connect to their hotspot as opposed to, say, Starbucks. A common thing is them to go ahead and duplicate the Wi-Fi name and broadcast it at with stronger signal, and so that you'll connect to their network. And from there, they just have full control. So this will keep this out of their hands because everything will be encapsulated using SSH, a secure shell. And so, yeah, that's really it. I hope you guys got something out of this. And I would like to do more of these in the future, just let me know down in the comments if you liked the style of this video. If you guys think I can make any improvements anywhere. This is kind of my just my second time doing it, and not in a setup or under the conditions I would prefer. But I think that was a pretty good walkthrough for you guys. So if you like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I will be bringing out plenty more of these to watch and to follow along. And let's keep learning together. Until next time, this is Steven Servo. Later, guys.